Okay, so good day sa mga kapwa ko kakodals, mga kapwa working law students, at saka sa mga full-time students. Magandang araw sa inyong lahat. Sana ay nasa mabuti kayong kalagayan. So ngayon, panibagong lecture series na naman yung i-upload natin, and this will cover persons and family relations under the new civil code. Kasama na rin po dito yung sa family code. So again, this will cover articles 1 to 10. And paalala lamang po, no, ang video na to ay in-upload ko para sa pamamaraan ng aking pag-aaral sa subject nito. Sa ngayon, hindi pa tayo lawyer. Hindi rin tayo eksperto sa field nito. Pero ito naman ay ginawa ko ang video na to galing to sa mga different lectures na napakinggan natin sa ating paaralan at lalo na doon sa online lectures na kung saan tayo ay dumalo, nag-join through Zoom or through Facebook Live. So, and subject nito ay base sa persons and family relations. So, simulan na natin. Yung Article 1 nito, sorry, talks about the effect and application of the laws. So, kung titignan natin itong ang tawag dito, itong batas na ito, itong civil code ay naging effective noong August 30, 1950 through Republic Act number 386 at ito ay inamendahan ng Family Code through EO 209 noong June 18, 1987 at naging batas noong August 3, 1988. So, matagal-tagal na, no, itong ating batas nito. So, yung Article 2 talks about effectivity of laws. So, laws shall take effect 15 days following their complete publication in the official gazette or in a newspaper in general circulation in the Philippines unless it is otherwise provided. So, yun yung codal provisions niya. And tingnan natin how we are going to dissect this Article 2. So, yung sinasabi ng batas na ito, itong article na ito, this solely refers to the 15-day period and not to the requirement of publication pag sinabi natin unless it is otherwise provided. Now, if the law provides for a different period, like shorter or longer than 15-day period, then such shorter or longer period, as the case may be, shall prevail. Pero tingnan natin itong unless it is otherwise provided, again, ito ay nagre-refer lamang sa 15-day period at hindi sa requirement ng publication. So, I hope that is clear. So, in the case of Tanyada versus Tobera, 146 SCRA 448, it is stated that publication is indispensable and that all statutes must be published. So, dahil sa kaso ng Tanyada versus Tobera, lahat ng batas ay kailangan na ating i-publish. So when we say effectivity of laws, again, publication is an indispensable requirement. Absence will render the law ineffective. So pag walang publication, yung batas ay hindi epektibo. It doesn't matter kung pinirmahan na siya ng Pangulo, pero yung sinasabi, kahit sinabi doon ng batas na this law shall take effect immediately, hindi ibig sabihin na doon mismo magti-take effect siya. When we say immediately, it refers to after publication. Because again, publication is an indispensable requirement. Okay, pag walang publication, walang bisa yung batas. And of course, tingnan natin na yung publication dapat must be in full or no publication at all. So kung Hindi full text yung pinalabas, merong mga provisions, articles, or section na hindi sinama doon sa publication. Mangyayari is that walang publication. The treatment of that is there is no publication. Kasi kailangan, bakit naman na merong hindi sinali? So dapat pag nag-publish ka, dapat isali mo yun lahat kung ano nakalagay doon sa batas. And then after publication, so ito na yung presumption ng batas that all people are deemed to be notified by the law even if they have not read it. So kahit na hindi mo nabasa yung batas, pero since na-publish na siya, so yung presumption ng batas natin is that nabasa mo yung publish na bagong batas. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Ngayon, ang tanong, di ba yung jurisprudence o yung mga decisions ng Supreme Court will form part of our laws, di ba? Magiging parte siya ng batas. So kailangan ba siyang i-published for it to be binding? So meron tayong isang kaso diyan, yung DeRoy versus CA 157/757, the Supreme Court held that there is no law requiring the publication of Supreme Court decisions in the official gazette before they can be binding and as a condition to their becoming effective. So kaya yung lawyers cannot invoke na hindi ko alam na meron palang jurisprudence ito kasi hindi siya pinablish, ay hindi magiging valid defense. Kasi yung Supreme Court na nagsabi na walang batas na nagsasabing kailangan lahat ng jurisprudence o lahat ng lumabas na decision sa Supreme Court ay kailangan i-publish. It is now the duty of the lawyer to educate himself. Okay? Kailangan din ng lawyer na mag-aral. Kaya yung mga professor natin, every time may bagong Supreme Court decisions, they are also reading it in full text para naman magamit nila yon pagdating kung may kaso sila na similar yung situation. So, ano ba yung dapat i-publish? Ano-ano yung mga dapat i-publish for it to be effective? Presidential decrees, of course, because this affects the general public. Executive orders pursuant to valid delegation from the Congress. Administrative rules and regulations if the purpose is to enforce or implement existing laws. Ito kasama ito yung mga IRR ng batas, yung implementing rules and regulations. Ito, kailangan siyang i-published. Yeah, of course, yung charter ng isang city. So pag yung isang city from municipality maging syudad o maging lungsod o maging city siya, kailangan yung charter niya should also be published. So kung meron mga dapat i-published, meron din bang dapat na, meron bang mga hindi na kailangan i-publish? Of course, yung sinasabi natin na yung Supreme Court rulings. Now, how about yung mga local ordinances galing sa barangay, munisipyo, at saka city, and then sa province? Kailangan bang i-publish? Are they covered by Article 2 of the new Civil Code? Take note that all local ordinances are governed by the Local Government Code of 1991 or Republic Act 7160. So, yung RA 7160, yun yung batas na nagsasabi ka na kailangan merong publication sa lahat ng mga local ordinances. Hindi siya saklaw ng Article 2 ng New Civil Code, but it is covered under RA 7160. Now, Article 3 talks about ignorance of the law excuses no one from compliance therewith. So it covers all domestic laws but only applied to mandatory or prohibitive laws, not on permissive or suppletory laws. Likewise, foreign laws are excluded because we do not take judicial notice of foreign laws as well as judgment decisions rendered by their courts. So, klaro yan. Now, we have this principle of processual presumption. These are factual matters that must be pleaded and proved before courts in the absence of which it is presumed that their laws are the same as our laws. Kunyari, isang foreigner, nag-invoke siya ngayon na hindi ko alam batas na yan kasi sa amin allowed ito. Well, that is a valid defense, but kailangan ngayon ng foreigner na yon o yung alien na yon na i-plead yung case niya at i-prove na that is within the bounds of the law of their nation. If even it is pleaded but not proven, then again, the principle of processual presumption is that yung batas nila ay kagaya ng batas natin. Now, this Article 3 applies only to mandatory or prohibitive laws and not on permissive or suppletory laws, just like in the case of Consonhi versus Court of Appeals. This is also not applied with equal force to minors. So, medyo pag minor yung nakakommit ng act, hindi siya kagaya, yung application niya is hindi ganun kagaya ng the same with those that are adults. Then, ignorance of law or ignorance of foreign law is tantamount to ignorance of fact. Article 4. So, law shall have no retroactive effect unless the contrary is provided. General rule, prospective application of laws. So, prospectivity of laws. Exceptions. So, ginawa natin ngayon yung exception is, ang mnemonics natin is TINCRIP. So, ano yung TINCRIP na yan? Ito yung mga exceptions ng Article 4. Tax laws, interpretative statutes, new substantive rights, curative laws, remedial laws. We have also emergency laws. Then we have also expressly provided in the new law. Then penal in nature, which is favorable to the accused who is not a habitual delinquent. Take note that Article 4, the reason of the law is that the law looks to the future. Unless the purpose and intention of the legislature is expressly declared or necessarily implied, in case of doubt, must be resolved against the retroactive or the retrospective effect. Okay, so yun yung clear. So, ano yung exception ng general rule na yan? Exception to the exception. Kasi kanina exception yung TINCRIP. Ngayon ito yung exception to the exception. Must not impair the obligations and contracts, is in the nature of an ex post facto law or bill of attainder, divest vested rights, and constitutionally forbidden. So ito yung exception to the exception. Now, in the case of Atienza versus Brillantes Jr., 243 SCRA 32, the Supreme Court states that Article 40 of the Family Code applies to remarriages entered into after the effectivity of the Family Code. Besides, Article 256 of the same code is given retroactive effect insofar as it does not prejudice vested rights. Article 40 is a rule of procedure and Brillantes has not shown any vested right that was impaired by the application of Article 40. So, in the case naman of Cancio versus Isip, November 12, 2002, the modes of enforcement of the civil liabilities are provided for in the revised rules of criminal procedure. Though the assailed order of the trial court was issued on March 20, 1998, the said rules, which took effect on December 1, 2000, must be given retroactive effect in the instant case, considering that statutes regulating the procedure of the court are construed as applicable to actions pending and undetermined at the time of their passage. In the case of Carlos versus Sandoval, December 16, 2008, the rule on declaration of absolute nullity of void marriages does not apply to cases already commenced before March 15, 2003. Although the marriage involved is within the coverage of the Family Code, this is so as the new rule, which became effective on March 15, 2003, is prospective in application. So, it is very clear na meron talagang exceptions na binibigay yung batas natin when it comes to the general rule. And kita naman natin, no? So, kung titignan natin, itong Article 4, kanina sabi niya, yung pangwalo sa mga exception is that penal laws favorable to the accused who is not a habitual delinquent. Now, ano ba yung habitual delinquent? When we say habitual delinquent, if a person within a period of 10 years from the date of release or last convicted of serious or less serious physical injuries, robo, hurto, estafa, and falsification, he is found guilty of any said crime a third or oftener is deemed to be a habitual delinquent. So, even though pabalik yung effect ng batas, favorable sana sa accused, but the accused is a habitual delinquent, then the accused could not avail of the exception. Okay, so I hope that is clear. Article 5, acts executed against the provisions of mandatory or prohibitory laws shall be void except when the law itself authorizes their validity. Now, a mandatory law is one which prescribes some element as a requirement. Like example of wills must be written under Article 804, form of donations, Article 749. A prohibitory law is one which forbids something, like in the joint will, Article 818. So yan yung mga examples natin. Now, under the mandatory prohibition of law, omission of which renders the proceeding or acts illegal or void. Example, a man impugning the legitimacy of his child beyond the 1-year period of their birth, then the case will be dismissed pursuant to the mandatory provision of the law. While under the prohibitory provision of the law, contain positive prohibitions and are couched in negative terms, that the act required shall not be done otherwise than designated. However, if law provides for the validity of acts committed in violation of mandatory prohibitory provision, such act will be considered valid and enforceable. So, general rule, acts which are contrary to mandatory or prohibitory laws are void. Exceptions, when the law itself authorizes its validity. We all know na itong lotto, sweepstakes are forms of gambling, but it is authorized by the law. When the law makes the act only voidable and not void. Example, if consent is vitiated, the contract is voidable and not void. When the law makes the act valid but punishes the violator. Example, if the marriage is celebrated by someone without legal authority, but the parties are in good faith, the marriage is valid, but the person who married or who performs the ceremony, who solemnizes the marriage ceremony, is liable either criminally, civilly, or administratively. And then when the law makes the act void but recognizes legal effects flowing therefrom, we can see this in Article 1412 and Article 1413. Article 6. Rights may be waived unless the waiver is contrary to law, public order, public policy, morals, and good customs, or prejudicial to a third person with a right recognized by law. Now, what are the requirements of a valid waiver? Number 1, the waiving party must actually have the right he is renouncing, or it must be in existence at the time of the waiver. How can you waive a right kung hindi naman existing yung right mo during the time na you have that waiver? Number 2, he must have the full capacity to make the waiver. Of course, when we say you must have the full capacity, you have that legal capacity. Okay? Pangatlo, the waiver must be clear and unequivocal. Dapat clearly, ano yung nakalagay doon sa waiver, must be clear and unequivocal. Then, the waiver must not be contrary to law, public order, public policy, morals, or good customs, or prejudicial to a third person with a right recognized by law. And lastly, when formalities are required for its validity, such as an express condonation of a debt, the formalities must be complied with. So, clear naman yung sinabi ng batas, no, about that. Now, ano yung waiver? So, waiver is the intentional relinquishment of a known right. So, ignorance of material facts negates waiver. Waiver cannot be established by a consent given under a mistake of apprehension of facts. So, yun yung mga tignan natin na yung waiver, yung ignorance of material facts will negate waiver. Meron kaso dyan doon sa Consoni versus CA. Okay. We have also there the Franklin Baker Company of the Philippines versus Alilana. Okay, so, yung signing of a satisfaction receipt from a disabled employee, it doesn't constitute a waiver agreeing to receive less compensation than the worker is entitled to recover under the law. So, yan yung ano. Yung San Miguel versus Cruz naman, yun naman talks about acceptance of benefits such as separation pay and terminal leave benefits do not amount to stoppel or waiver of right of employee to contest his illegal dismissal. So, I hope that is clear, no? Meron tayong mga jurisprudence doon sa Article 6 na waiver of rights. Article 7, laws are repealed only by subsequent ones, and their violation or non-observance shall not be excused by disuse of custom or practice in the contrary. When the courts declared a law to be inconsistent with the Constitution, the former shall be void and the latter shall govern. Administrative or executive acts, orders, and regulations shall be valid only when they are not contrary to the laws or the Constitution. The repeal of a law is the legislative act of abrogating through a subsequent law the effects of a previous statute or portions thereof. The law may lose its effectivity by, number 1, repeal, number 2, self-cancellation, and number 3, declaration of nullity. So, kung titignan natin, ano yung repeal? So, there are kinds of repeal. Number 1, we have the implied repeal. So, implied when the new law contains provisions contrary to or inconsistent with those of a former without expressly repealing them. So, yun yung implied repeal. While yung express repeal naman, literally declared by a new law either in specific terms, which means particular laws and provisions are named and identified and declared to be repealed, or it is in general terms where a provision is a new law declares all laws and parts of laws inconsistent to be repealed. So, yung repeal, either implied or express. Statutes shall not be given a meaning that will bring them in conflict with the Constitution. When a portion of a statute is unconstitutional and other parts valid, the parts will be separated and constitutional portion upheld, unless they are mutually dependent and connected, then even the constitutional part must fall with them. A rule is binding on the court so long as the procedure for its promulgation is followed and its scope within the authority granted by the legislature. But if it is contrary to law and constitution, then therefore it is invalid. Now, Article 8 talks about judicial decisions analyzing or interpreting the law or constitution shall form part of the legal system of the Philippines. This is what we call as the doctrine of stare decisis. If you have your statutory construction, you will be able to discuss what is stare decisis, or when we say stare decisis, it is adherence to precedents for reasons of stability of law. So yan yung stare decisis, no? So Supreme Court decisions are authoritative and precedent, meaning it is setting, whereas inferior courts, yung mga decision ng inferior courts are merely persuasive. So again, yung Supreme Court decisions are authoritative and precedent setting, while yung inferior court's decision are merely persuasive. Courts have the principal function of interpreting and construing vague provisions of law relative to a particular dispute. Kaya lang, yung Supreme Court naman is only limited to interpreting and construing. But if the case was filed and there is no law providing for it, then the Supreme Court will not be able to make a decision because they are not authorized to make a judicial legislation. Okay, so judicial decisions shall form part of the law of the land until authoritatively abandoned. They also constitute evidence of what the law means. Okay, so yan yung Article 8. Article 9 talks about no judge or court shall decline to render judgment by reason of the silence, obscurity, or insufficiency of the laws. So, it is the duty ngayon ng judge. Okay, it is the duty of judges to dispense justice in accordance with the constitutional concept that no person shall be deprived of life, liberty, and property without due process of law. Now, in case of silence, obscurity, or insufficiency of laws, no judge shall decline to render judgment. This refers to civil cases only, because in criminal cases, there is a principle of nullum crimen nulla pona sine lege, or there is no crime when there is no punishing it. So, the judge should render or make a decision to be able to fulfill its function. The judge or the court must not evade performance of responsibility because of non-existence of any law. He must be guided by equity, fairness, and sense of justice. When conclusions are not without logic, he cannot be said to be incompetent. Though judiciary cannot legislate, the existence of this provision almost says otherwise. This is because, like all human beings, the mind of the legislator cannot envisage all possible cases to which the law may apply. There are cases here, like for example in the case of Silverio versus Republic, wherein Silverio went abroad and underwent sex change and petitioned the court to change his name from Romel Jacinto to Meli, and that his sex be changed also from male to female. The Republic, through the Office of Solicitor General, opposed, alleging that there is no law allowing the change of entries in the birth certificate by reason of sex alteration. The Supreme Court held that it is not a license of the courts to engage in judicial legislation. The duty of the courts is to apply or interpret the laws and not to make or amend it. So it's very clear in Article 9. Now, Article 10, in case of doubt, the interpretation or application of laws, it is presumed that the lawmaking body intended right and justice to prevail. So, when the law is clear, no choice but to apply the law. This is what we call as verba legis. You can, again, makikita mo ito, or it will be discussed properly in statutory construction. A first-year subject on the first semester, itong verba legis. In case of ambiguity, the interpretation of the law requires fidelity to the legislative purpose of the law. what the Congress intended be frustrated and its objective must be carried out. It is the judicial duty of judges to construe statutes so as to avoid injustices or obscurity. So, clear. Okay, it's very clear that ito yung titignan lang. When the law is clear, kailangan hindi na tayo mag-a-apply pa o hindi na kailangan pa na i-interpret because it is there already. So, this is in relation to Article 9. Okay, so, itong Article 10 will talk to us about the doubt in the interpretation or application of laws. So, when Supreme Court or when the judge will not be able to decide and then the Supreme Court will make a decision, the Supreme Court now will try to look at what is the intention of the Congress in making such law. That's why, babalikan nila ngayon yung transcript kung saan nagkaroon ng deliberation. Because along the way, doon, mababasa mo doon kung ano yung intention. Kasi may magtatanong naman talaga na congressman or senator, what do you mean by this one? Can you interpret this one? May nabasa akong ganyan doon sa book ni Father Bernas sa Constitution Law na nakalagay talaga doon yung question nila, what do you mean by this provision? And then meron talagang interpretation. Meron talagang sinabi doon yung former Senator Arturo Tolentino. Meron siyang diniscuss. So, it forms part ngayon doon sa batas. So, yun yung titignan ngayon ng Supreme Court when they do their final ruling. So, again, thank you very much for watching. Please naman, subscribe sa channel na ito. Like, comment, and share na rin yung video natin. Of course, meron pa rin tayong Facebook page. Again, the same handles, Working Law Student PH. Pwede na rin tayo doon mag-follow sa page natin. And I would like to say, happy watching and shout out doon sa mga nasa Arellano University School of Law, Sir Elmer Erenio, Ma'am Mapi Dael. See you soon po. I'll be visiting Osamis City sometime this October. And I hope that I'll be able to bump with you and your classmates there sa Osamis City for an event. Okay, so again, thank you for watching. Please subscribe to my channel, Working Law Student PH in YouTube. You can also add, comment, like, and share doon dito sa video na to. Again, maraming salamat po sa inyong lahat and God bless us all. Mabuhay tayong mga kakodals, mabuhay tayong mga law students, whether working ka man or full-time students. We are doing some good news or good work sa ating pag-aaral. So, padayon lang. Padayon. Ano yung padayon? Patuloy lang po tayo. Yun lang po. God bless.